up, everybody? Welcome to Life Talk. Once again, we have another interesting topic today, which is, I think this one is quite controversial in a way to some people, depending who is saying this. But I think we need to decipher the difference between enjoying your youth and wasting your youth or destroying your future. I think there's a major difference, and I'm just going to read the scripture before we go into detail, which talks about this, and it's coming from Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 9 to 10, right? It says, "Rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and the sight of your eyes. But know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment." But there's some things that I really love here. It says that walk in the ways of your heart, or pursue the desires of your heart. The other version might say. What do you think about this topic? What exactly is the difference between enjoying your youthful years, and destroying your future or wasting your youthful time?
If I may start?
Yeah, definitely.
I think the line could be blurred because one, it's like your heart's desire are usually enjoyment because you tend to do stuff that you enjoy.
Yeah, definitely.
But the simple question would be, if you enjoy bad habits,
Yeah.
should you keep you like, oh, I'm enjoying my youth, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
But not everything you want to do is right. Not everything you want to do would like encourage you in building up.
This guy is already killing us. Already killing us.
No, but it's like,
That's very true. Go on.
there's some things like
Just
that
because you
really
do
don't-
something does not mean it's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just
The same thing, just because you want certain things, it doesn't make it right. Because if you carry on like certain bad habits, which I've seen in myself as well, and in many others, like in my peers, you keep on doing what you want to do and end up in destruction. And the same quoting the scriptures, there is a proverb that says, there is a way that seems right in every man, but ends up in destruction.
Yeah.
In destruction. So that might be the thing. So necessarily if you want to do something, if you follow your heart desire, it doesn't end up being productive.
But about heart desire, sometimes how I interpret it, I think it has to do with things like your passion.
Exactly.
Things like that gravitate to the things that you naturally
Purpose.
gravitate, exactly. Things like purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's referring to.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
sin in general, sin is very sweet, to be honest. Sin is sweet, but at the same time, and everybody would want to do those some certain things, but that are sinful, but that really
costs
might
you.
exactly that might cost them. What's your
I actually agree with what everyone said. I'll get to the point that he spoke about of not everything that you want to do would be right.
Yeah.
I'll give an example of me when I was young. So this is what my mom used to say specifically whenever I would do something wrong. And I give the excuse, but everyone is doing it, right?
Yes.
And actually, it wasn't even when I was doing wrong. I would tell my mom, sometimes I would feel like I performed well at school,
Yeah.
right? I got decent results. And then my mom would be like, no, that's not good enough. And then I'm like, Mom, but I outperformed everyone in class. But you're not everyone in class, you're Hans.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So same thing
Very true.
applies to when it comes to action. Whenever I would do something wrong, and I tell my mom that, but everyone was doing it, my mom would be like, but you're not everyone. You're Hans. So I just wanted to nail on that because it feels like what mainly leads us youth into wasting our youth is peer pressure.
Yeah.
The people that
It's gotta be up there.
it has to be up there.
Yeah.
The people that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
You know, you surround yourself with someone that likes to party, obviously you're going to be
Gravitating towards
you're gonna
that
gravitate
kind
to
of
it, right? You attract you be around older people with a lot of wisdom, then you're obviously gonna grow into a very, very wise person.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
that saying if I may, it says, show me your friends and I'll tell you
who you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Or that one of birds of the same feathers
Flock together.
flock together. But I personally think, right? Cause like what we're doing, it might not to some people it might not be the fun thing to do,
Yeah.
right? Because we're working, and we all, apart from just this, we all have our own things going on, right? You have business running,
Yeah.
you're doing CMD, right? And I'm playing football, right? And all of these three things, they're not easy.
Yeah.
Especially for us at this young age, they're really difficult to pursue. At your age, nobody wants to get into a business loss, right? At your age, nobody wants to have sleepless nights working on a project. At my age, nobody wants to wake up at 4 a.m. to go and train every morning. It's difficult. And there's something called cognitive miser, right? It's psychological, where your brain basically just tries to find the easy way out. And when it comes to this specific issues, the easy way out is the parties. The easy way out is binge watching Netflix.
Having fun, like being
Having
like everybody
fun.
is.
Exactly.
Everybody's doing it so.
Exactly. And what we tend to what this happens as well, because our brain it sort of receives 4 billion bits of information per second. That is per second, which automatically ends up draining 20% of our energy. So the action of binge watching Netflix is all of a sudden more attractive, because your brain, your body's 20% of the energy goes in processing information alone.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but I think it also boils down to the point, like we as young people need to understand that the youthful time, and the reason why the Bible is saying that follow your heart desires when you're still young. Because in my view, I think that the youthful age is the age to set a foundation for your life.
True.
absolutely. Yeah.
And that is the age that is really, you can really put your life in shape, or you can destroy your life.
You're so energetic.
Yeah, exactly. We are still energetic. You're able to do many things and push for many things because you don't have so much on your back.
Exactly.
I remember my dad used to say this other time when I sat with him and I was just having a discussion with him, and then he said, Ranisu, do what you have to do now. Because right now at your age, you have no trailer behind you. You're not pulling any trailer. And by trailer, what I was referring to was a family. Right? Like a family, like having kids, having a wife. There's some things that you can't do in marriage, or that risks your family when you try to do them in marriage. For instance, of course, I'm not encouraging like sleeping around you. No. I'm talking about things like there's some risks, business risks that you can take when you're still young.
Like when you are single.
When you're still single, and you're okay with those, because even if they put you in a situation whereby you lose everything, you can sleep at your friend's place.
Yeah.
You are able to do those risks because you do not have a family. But there's some things that when you have a family, they become very difficult for you to implement those things and take the risks. So it's very, and I mean, you can't really be flexible enough when you don't have a family to want to try out a lot of things, because your kids are going to be needing financial support, they're going to be needing your attention. So rather establish a ground and a solid foundation in your youth. And the reason why many people, especially the youth of today now, find it very hard when they escape that youthful age, it is because their foundation is bolted already.
Yeah.
When your foundation has cracks in it, the whole building sooner or later is going to crumble. Because how long your building is going to be sustained is dependent upon how strong your foundation is. And if you want your building to be very high, like skyscrapers in general, they have a deeper foundation as compared to any general house. So the bigger the dream that you want, the bigger or the higher the lifestyle that you want, it also means the deeper the foundation has to be. And what it simply means is that you have to maximize your youthful time. Now, I hear a lot of people, especially when it comes to me. Well, now there's nothing wrong. I can't really say there's anything wrong really with partying, as long as
it's done on
a normal basis, or like when you're managing.
When you can have control, because it feels like sometimes the party controls the person.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like alcohol. Alcohol, in our generation at least, I would say, in my observation, alcohol, we are at a point where alcohol controls the person rather than the person controlling alcohol.
Yeah. So my point being, now it's a lot of people say to me, some acquaintances, they were like, man, you seem to you're too serious about life. And I'm like, well, the definitions of enjoying, they might be different.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't do party. I don't drink. And some people think that just because I don't do that, I don't enjoy life. There are a lot of things that I do, and I'm sure some of you guys know it. I enjoy a lot of things. I have a lot of fun. I do that, but I might not really be meeting your definition of what fun is.
Very true.
Right? Because your fun is not really in sync with what I want, right? Because it's also very important even when it comes to the aspect of wasting your time or destroying your future, is that there are some decisions that you make at a youthful age that might really compromise your future. Whether it's in terms of mental health, your physical health, and even just your spiritual health, right? Consider this way. The reason I don't drink is not because the Bible says don't drink.
Don't drink.
That's not, and a lot of people think that, man, you're a Christian, yes. I don't drink because the Bible says I shouldn't drink. I don't drink because it's not good
It's
for me.
actually in the Bible. There are parts where they talk about people drinking.
Yeah,
wine.
It's a
does.
blessing, bro.
Of course, yeah, right. But I personally don't drink because it's against my values. I don't smoke because I know, right? I mean, it's even indicated on the box that this is a risk to yourself. I don't do that because I want to live
And
longer.
they show the pictures.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I know personally that of course whether I live longer or shorter is not really up to me.
But you still like.
Right?
But you try your best.
That is up to God. But I also believe that there's premature death.
Yeah.
Premature death that you inflict upon yourself by adopting
Your
to some
actions.
certain habits.
Very true.
Right? Like drinking, smoking. Those things are going to have health implications upon you. So that's the reason I do not want to do that, because I want to be 100%
Healthy.
in influence of my thoughts, of my actions, right? I do not want to end up intoxicating my lungs because of pleasure, or what other people call pleasure. That is the reason why I don't do that. So some people might not really understand why I don't do some certain things, but it's not, of course the Bible has a lot of influence on that, but I also do that because I know the kind of life I want to live. I don't want to be struggling with breathing or having lung problems when I'm older because I used to do so much smoking when I was younger, right? So I think people have to understand that.
Yeah.
So there's some decisions right now that we make as youths that might not seem as they have a very big effect right now, but later on in
the
life,
long run,
my teacher used to say this, that guys, the things that you do now, they're going to catch up with you.
Oh yeah.
So same thing,
Well,
right?
maybe we had the same teacher.
Every
One of us-
teacher, every
of
teacher
course,
is
like
Yeah,
every
so
teacher.
they said whether you don't study, it's going to catch up with you, and for sure it did quite a bit, right? Same thing, like a lot of people slip around and do. I personally believe that. Now that's not my place to tell somebody what not to do, what to do.
That's not any of our place.
But that's not the end of our
We
place.
just try to
But-
advise.
But the reason why I don't indulge in some certain things is for my own protection. At the end of the day, I do not want to have some memories in my mind when I'm old and I'm saying I regret having these memories.
Yeah.
So whether you do a lot of things, and I hear a lot of people saying this, I'm sorry to take much of the time.
That's okay.
I hear some people saying this, that a lot of people, for instance, a lot of young people, they do a lot of relationships, a lot of sleeping around, and they say that I'm going to stop when I'm married.
Oh,
That, my friend, you're lying to yourself. You are lying to
Because you
yourself.
just
Keep it to
can't
the
get
camera.
enough.
Yes,
You
yes.
can't get enough of
Yeah,
it.
you can't. I mean, there's some things that they become habits that
bro.
you can't expect marriage to solve the problems. You can't expect having kids to solve the problems.
It's funny because me and Nahum, we had a conversation
We
like
even
this.
have this on
Oh, really?
for masturbation, like a
Yeah, the
Exactly.
pornography masturbation
So
topic.
you shouldn't lie to yourself and say, hey, I'm doing this, but once I married, I'm going to stop. It won't, because they become habits. They become part of you.
They
Because
control you.
exactly, the more you practice a habit, the more it's characterized, it becomes a character,
Yeah.
right? And it's going to be hard for you to live it on now in marriage. So rather set a foundation in this youthful age where you're building a foundation for your life. Rather construct with the things that you want to see later on.
Yeah.
Build it in such a way that you're going to enjoy when you're now old and say, hey, I'm happy I made some certain decisions.
Second decisions.
There are some certain decisions right now that are going to put you at the mercy of other people and say, hey, you're not enjoying life. You're old, you're a nerd, you're doing all these things. But yet you're building upon your future.
And sometimes I would personally see, because I've experienced people telling me that,
Yeah.
right? People telling me that I'm not enjoying my life,
Yeah.
and I'm supposed to be, having fun, and because I'm young and 20 and everything. The truth is, if you are doing what you love, I
That's-
personally have fun. I
I wish people
enjoy
would
what I'm
understand that.
doing.
I try to tell the same thing, that I spend a lot of time doing the things that I do because I love them.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I
that's the same thing.
love football, and not only because I don't only wake up at 4 a.m. because I'm trying to pursue this. It is massively influencing it, but I love it. I love the thrill that comes with it.
Waking
you
up,
know?
like, yeah.
Waking up and doing it. And there's this one principle my mom taught me when I was really young. I think I was 12. I'll never forget. We were at home that day. So what was happening was I was kicking the ball around the house.
Yeah.
I broke a vase.
You broke what?
A vase, a
Oh.
flower vase.
Okay.
Right? So I was scared of telling my mom. Then she ended up finding out by herself. And when she found out, I thought that she was gonna like beat me. I thought I was gonna die that day. It was rather different, and she sat down with me and she told me, listen. By the end of the day, you harvest what you planted, right? You receive what you sow. So
Yes,
she kind
sir.
of gave me
Yes, sir.
this
Yes, sir.
life path. She told me in life this is how it is, right?
Yeah.
There is obviously your birth, right, where you're born and you don't know much and everything, and then you have your childhood and teenage years, right, and then you have your young adult years. Now in your young adult years you have two options. You can either choose to work hard and suffer and go through all the pain that there is for the reward later when you're at your early when you're old enough, right? Or you can have fun now. You can enjoy your young adult years where you have all the energy. You can waste it on unnecessary things, and when you get into your 30s, you're struggling. You're really struggling because you did not have a really good foundation from
Yeah.
the start,
Yeah.
right? And then eventually it leads to death, whether depending on what you chose.
Yeah.
But that stage between your 20s and 30s, it's very, very crucial.
Very crucial.
Very
I mean-
crucial, and most of us fail to realize that because we want the instant gratification
That
rather
comes,
than
yeah.
the long-term reward, right? So if most people would just tend to realize and understand that, listen, I mean, there's nothing, again, we've said this so many times,
The
but
emphasis.
there's nothing wrong with partying. You do find people that are working really hard on something that they have, but
And they
once
still
in a
party at the
while
same time.
they go for a party, they go for a drink here and there. There's nothing wrong with
Well,
that.
like especially it's like even people like even weddings are like the fanciest of parties, to be honest, and it's like
Exactly.
you do
Because you do need to reward yourself
and enjoy like certain like
at
things.
some point.
You shouldn't be a workaholic, and it's something also my dad would always tell me at the same time.
Workaholic, right?
That
Yeah, you need to
that
get the balance.
there are many people, even men of God, that they were so much invested in what they were doing that they neglected their families.
Especially their family, like something you shouldn't.
You should never do that. So of course, in as much as we are pursuing what you're pursuing, yes, keep in mind there is life. There's life in
The
this.
balance
There are
of it.
friends, of course. There are the relationships that you have to nurture, the friendships that you have to nurture, and all that kind of stuff. It's very important, and also even to remember yourself.
I think you
Because, yeah,
forget it.
There are sometimes where you become so fixated on what you're doing that you even neglect your own body.
Yeah.
You even neglect your own health and all the kind of things. But I think another point, just to remember what Hanssen said, there's a very important principle that he was taught by his mom, and I think the Bible also teaches us of the same principle, right? That one of the things that I think our generation is lacking is knowing the consequences to some of the actions that we're taking. And to some extent, I think some parents are the one who also cause this. Because think of it this way. A child misbehaves at school. They do things that are really prohibited at school. They get expelled or something like that, or they get a punishment at school. They go report home. Their parents come to school. They shout
They
at
shout
the
at
school.
Exactly.
At the principal, they shout at the school. Get my child back in school. All these things. What they're basically doing is that they're teaching the child not to be aware of the consequences
Yeah, to
of
reject
their
the
actions.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that my mom really
It is.
really
It is because
it was indirectly.
It was because I mean it's a consequence that just they're based on the principle of reaping what you sow.
Part of
Mhm.
life.
That you have sown into these actions, and you're going to reap of those actions.
And it's quite sad because our generation kind of is trying to kind of denormalize the act of a parent
Disciplining the children.
disciplining their children
It's called
by
abuse.
cane.
That's-
It's called abuse. I'm personally not in support of it. But do I think it's something that you need to do every time to a child? No, because by the end of the day, the child will end up in some type
You don't
of
want
trauma.
to drive them crazy. as well.
The
Exactly.
Bible actually encourages people. to
The
do that.
Bible
They used to
encourages
do
that.
right.
A son, well, it says a donkey doesn't move without a cane. No, not even a donkey.
There are a lot of scriptures that actually say that about disciplining your child.
Exactly.
A lot of like a father does not discipline a child and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very important. I honestly
But-
think it's
Uh-huh.
important. Go on.
Yeah, okay. But then the reason I'm bringing this up is when we were growing up, we would be fearful to do certain things because we would realize that the result of our actions would be the painful discipline that we're gonna.
I used to get weaved.
My friend. So my I come from a single mom family, right? I wasn't with my dad most of the time, so my mom had to play that father
Yeah.
and mother
Mom
balance.
at the same time.
Should we pay her
So,
girls?
my friend, there was a day I'll never forget it. My mom told me, don't go to play football.